Baseball fans, you're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Welcome into On Deck as always. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Really do appreciate it. We're jumping right in. I know what you're thinking, Tyler. Isn't it way too early to be doing one of your live broadcasts? You would usually be correct, but given that this is a college football Saturday, and given that I have to go cover college football later, we're doing an early show, and it's also postseason baseball is here. The Braves play the Phillies tonight in the first game of the NLDS. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see the Braves win tonight. That is what we're all hoping for. Of course, it will be Spencer Strider taking the mound against, I guess, Ranger Suarez from the Phillies. And I think you can expect Spencer Strider to have a great game today. He's beat the Phillies, I think, 8 games straight this year. I think he'll be looking for a little bit of redemption after last year's postseason, and I expect a win today. But that said, the Braves also did drop their postseason rosters. We're going to talk about that in just a second. We're going to go through the comments section as well. I don't have a lot to talk about specifically today, but we are going to hit a couple topics. We'll start with the NLDS roster. So here's who you can expect on the NLDS roster. Here's your pitchers. Again, Spencer Strider starts tonight. Max Fried will start Game 2. I assume Bryce Elder for Game 3, given that Kyle Wright is on the 60-day injured list. He is not going to make a presence in the postseason whatsoever now. That we know that. Brad Hand, Daysbel Hernandez. Daysbel Hernandez, who was a bit of a surprise to some people, he actually had really good days in the postseason workout, so maybe they saw something there that they can use in the postseason. Hopefully, he's one of those guys that I was talking about last week that could get hot at the right time. Of course, Raisel Iglesias will be your closer. Pierce Johnson, A.J. Smith-Shawver was a nice pickup. I think, if you need some length out of the pen, that'll be the guy they go to alongside Michael Tonkin. Kirby Yates was a guy that I thought would make it due to his postseason experience, but also because I think he's had a pretty good year altogether. Joe Jimenez was the final pitcher that made it onto the NLDS roster. Going to the position players, not a lot of surprises here. I think you can pick out Vaughn Grissom as one, possibly. I told you that I thought Forrest Wall would make it. I thought that from the beginning, and I'm glad to see that he made it. I think he's a guy that they could put on there and potentially, he's a guy that could have a Dave Roberts moment where if he comes out, then you can assume he's stealing a bag, which nothing wrong with that at all. I think having speed on your team, to be able to pull and use in any situation will be a good thing to have. And of course, I think did I miss him? I did leave off A.J. Minter as a pitcher as well. So A.J. Minter was the other pitcher that I missed. Sorry, guys. We're rushing a little bit today. I got to get this out to you and get it made. I'll fix that in the edit. Thank you for letting me know. But no, I think the roster is sound. I think altogether they're going to be plenty of guys to turn to out of the pen. I think it's the right choice to put in a guy like Forrest Wall. And to be honest with you, the more I think about Vaughn Grissom, I originally thought he wouldn't make it just because I didn't see who they'd take off. But given what we have now, I like the move. I think going to him, in a tough situation, let's say you need to pinch hit somebody in a late game, I think Vaughn Grissom gives you a very good chance off the bench. So, no, there's a lot of things to talk about with the NLDS starting today. Of course, Spencer Strider is at the top of mind. I spoke with Leo Mazzoni this week. That interview will be on at some point later on, either tomorrow or maybe the following day. But no, Leo Mazzoni spoke very highly of Spencer Strider and Max Fried. He thinks, that's a great 1-2 punch to give, to start the series. Beyond that, he thinks Bryce Elder will start Game 3, as do I. I told you that a few days ago. I just don't see Brian Snitker being the guy to run a guy out there all year long and then at the tail end of the season just change it up. I just don't see that happening. I think consistency is key there, and I think Brian Snitker is going to go with Bryce Elder. And I also asked, and this is before we knew Kyle Wright would be on the 60-day injured list, I also asked, well, what would you think about the idea of combining a start with Bryce Elder and Kyle Wright in a Game 3 situation? And he said, you can do that, sure, but I don't think that the Braves are going to think that way. No one is going to think that way because you're going to run your best option for Game 3. Our best option right now with the loss of Charlie Morton for this series is without a doubt Bryce Elder. That is the guy they're going to run with. And, Leo said, and of course he brought up Jose Barrios, and if you know anything about Leo Mazzoni, you know that the Jose Barrios ordeal, taking him out after 3 or 4 innings, not giving up a run, that's not going to go well with Leo Mazzoni, and it certainly didn't. But he spoke about that, and he said basically, you have to go with the guy. You have to have a gut feel, and if he doesn't have it, of course you can take him out. Maybe they go A.J. Smith-Shawver, who looked really good in the postseason workouts, if need be. But what I think it's going to end up being is obviously Spencer Strider tonight, Max Fried for Game 2. We know that for sure. And it's tough to know what's going to happen beyond that because we don't know how these games are going to go. If they go 2-0, I think you expect Bryce Elder. If they go 0-2, I still think you expect Bryce Elder, but then it's, all hands on deck, right? No pun intended. I think ultimately the Braves are set up really well here. The Phillies are coming off of a series with the Marlins. MLB, their fan base has made a really big deal about how they swept. That's great. It's a 3-game series. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. They beat the Marlins, who they were supposed to beat from the beginning. That's just my take on it. Now, that said, we know that Phillies can be dangerous. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they beat us last year, in this very series. This is a chance for the Braves to get a little bit of redemption and a little bit of revenge over the Phillies, and I think they'll certainly be looking for that. But I also think you have to consider the fact that their pitching is not set up as well for this series as the Braves. The Braves have had time to get situated, time to set their rotation. There is still question marks, especially without Charlie Morton and with Max Fried and his blister issue. There is still a big question mark there. That said, I still think the Braves are set up the best for this series. I think they win this series, and I'm fully confident in saying that. I was at postseason workouts the other day. I covered it as media, and there were some things that I was keeping an eye on. Who's getting the at bats, and how's Fried gonna pitch, because I was there for that day. And I'll tell you this, he pitched I think around 65 pitches before being taken out. He gave up 3 runs. Home run to Kevin Pillar, home run to Sean Murphy, and another run here and there. But I don't know how much that really matters. And I mentioned that to Leo Mazzoni yesterday, and he said it doesn't. Frankly, it doesn't. He said in that type of environment, you're facing your own team. It's competitive, sure, but it's not the postseason, So Max Fried has always been able to shine in the postseason, and I think it'll be a similar circumstance today. We'll see what happens as we move throughout this series. We'll be giving you content here, so please do like this video and of course subscribe if you haven't already. We plan to be giving you coverage throughout the postseason. Hopefully we make a deep run and I could be here with you throughout the World Series as well. That said, guys, really do appreciate you tuning in. I know it's early in the day. I know it's a college football Saturday. Didn't know what kind of audience I'd get, but I see the comments rolling in. Really do appreciate that. I see the likes rolling in. Really do appreciate that as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're not going to be on here long. We'll probably be here till right at noon, if that, because I have to hit the road shortly after that to get to Athens today. So really do appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get to as many questions as I can. But if you want to get something in and you want to get something read quickly, Super Chats are the way to go. They get you front in line. Beyond that, just please do, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here and on deck, and, of course, with the Atlanta Braves throughout the MLB postseason. Let's go ahead and get into the comment section. Corey Carter says, call in a Braves sweep right now. I'm not going to call a sweep because I don't want to be on camera calling a sweep and then I get torn up by Phillies media. I don't need that. I do think the Braves are the obvious favorites in this series. I think that goes without saying. The Phillies could be hot. I think this could go to 4 games possibly. It could go to 5 games, and I genuinely hope that doesn't happen. But anything is possible in the postseason. Anything is possible in a 5-game series. I feel confident in this team. Not as confident as you to predict a sweep, but I definitely think a sweep is possible with this offense. And if Bryce Elder is on, I think it's really possible because I have full faith in Strider. I have full faith in Fried. Bryce Elder is my one real question mark. That's why I said 4 games, because Strider would pitch the 4th. So I think there's plenty of reasons to expect the Braves to make a good run this postseason. I mean, obviously with the season they've had and the way it's gone, I think they're the obvious favorites for really making it to the World Series and potentially winning the World Series. I think they're the given favorite. But with the loss of Morton, they got to make it through this series really to, I think, come to full strength. So we'll see how it goes. AEM 1031 says, I can't wait to see the Phillies sent home packing. I can't either, because after last year and frankly after the manager and the team kind of ran their mouth about Acuna, I personally am glad we're facing Philadelphia. I hope that we are fully motivated, which I think we are. I think, there's really not a better opponent for us, to be honest with you, because if there's anybody that can get, you in the postseason mindset quickly, it's Philadelphia. And I think this is a great series for the Braves to get their feet wet, to get in, and hopefully move on. That's what we hope for. And, of course, I think the Braves will certainly do it. Thank you, CeeLo. Corey Carter says, Tyler, I'm glad you are doing an early show on this beautiful game day. God is truly great. Well, if this is what you were waiting on, Corey, I'm glad I could give it to you. I really do appreciate that. And, of course, I know we're probably competing with college football right now. I know that's always a tough one to get people to watch during. But, hey, it's postseason baseball. I'm going to cover college football tonight. I wish I could sit there and just digest postseason baseball single-handedly. Now, I will tell you this. I will be at NLDS Game 2. I'll be there as media. If you are there, feel free to come say hello. Try not to do it when I'm on camera, but feel free to come say hello. I'll be glad to meet you, take a picture with you, whatever the case may be if I got time. Would love to meet you if I can. I will be there, though. We're doing a special out at the Battery. Really looking forward to it. It's honestly a dream come true for me, and we'll see how the postseason goes beyond that. But if the Braves, I'll just put it to you this way: the better the Braves do, the better I do. I'll just put it that way. Corey Carter, are you going to do a post-game show? Probably not. Maybe tomorrow morning, but I don't know. Probably not tomorrow morning. I probably won't. What I'll probably do is I'll probably wait 2 or 3 games and come back later this week when I'm off and I can actually watch a game and sit. Now, keep in mind, when I say watch a game, I watch all the games. I just end up catching the highlights for a lot of these due to my work schedule. But I will be able to see a lot of the postseason later on this week. I'll do post-show games after those. Trust me, I wish I could sit here and do it, but it's the price of going up there to cover it. But I will be here doing some coverage of it. I'll either do pre-recorded things in the morning or whatever the case may be. I will get you some content, make no mistake. At some point, whether it be a short or whether it be whatever, you will hear from me, I promise. But if you want more of me, if you want to see more of what I do and more of just me in general this week, the best thing to do really is follow me on social media. If I'm not here, I'm either tweeting or on Instagram or something. So make sure to follow the social media. It's down there below. As well as go to the On Deck shop. We got plenty of merch there and would love for you to sport it out to the ballpark this postseason. Rivers Teeth says, trying to stay in the moment and not get ahead of things. I just want the Braves to show the Phillies what's behind the woodshed in Game 1. It would be great if the offense just rolled out like 7 runs in the first 3 innings. That would be a great statement to put on there and really prove like, hey, yep, we're here. Here you go. This is the team that you got to beat. That's kind of what I want. Let's see. Nicholas says, "Let's go. Feeling good. So pumped." Yeah, me too, man. I'm ready to go. I'm never up this early. I'll put it that way. Corey Carter, Strider and Freed, and pray we have the lead. I like that. It's like Spawn and saying, and then pray for rain. Yeah, I love that. I might make a T-shirt out of that. Dogs and Braves, and I'm staying up until 2 in the morning. Yeah, I mean, look, I look. If I wasn't in Athens tonight, I very well might come on here and do a post-game show. That said, the game's a 7 kickoff. Yeah, I'm not going to get home till 2 in the morning. So, I mean, I could do a post-game show, but it would be at 2 or 3 in the morning. So, that's why I'm not doing it. But I really do appreciate you guys being so interested for me doing a post-game show. Let's see. Nicholas says, I don't know how I became a Braves and Michigan fan, but can't say I can complain. Man, a Michigan fan in Braves country? I mean, I'm not mad at you, but it is what it is. Jeffrey says, have a great feeling about the Braves. Yeah, I mean, I do too, man. I mean, this team, I was talking to somebody the other day, a good friend of mine, who sometimes watches us here at the channel, and he was saying, it just feels too good to be true. It just feels like this team is destined to I was like, you can't go in thinking like that. You can't do it. This team is better than any team, frankly, I've ever seen. And granted, I wasn't there for the 90s. But I think this team, they are supposed to win. And if they don't, it'll be a disappointment, sure. But what a year this has been. What a ride this has been. And, you can't ask for much more. I would love a World Series ring, make no mistake. It would be really good for my channel as well. But I still don't think you can, get upset if the Braves somehow don't manage to win at this point. However, I think they will win, and I have full confidence in them. Nicholas says, should we be concerned about Chavez not being on the roster? I mean, I know he had injury concerns. No, I mean, I just don't think Chavez was to be honest with you, I don't think Chavez was really the guy they were going to turn to in the postseason anyway. I think what they have is honestly better. And I don't mean that with any disrespect to Xavi. I think Chavez is better in the regular season when he can give you length in not meaningless innings, but innings that don't have a lot of stakes on them. I don't necessarily want Chavez to come out in the postseason when I'm up by one, or down by one. I just don't know that that's his spot. And I mean it with all due respect. He very well may be on the roster for the NLCS, especially if someone doesn't have a great series this series and we still advance. I mean, that is certainly possible. But ultimately, I think that it comes down to, it just comes down to whether or not they feel confident in a guy in a postseason scenario. And to be honest with you, I just don't know that Chavez is that guy. As a guy, I love Jesse Chavez. I think he means a lot to this team. I think he means more to this team than we will really ever know. But I wasn't surprised to see him off. I'll say that. I'll just put it that way. Chris Kaysen tunes in. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Let's see. Whatever happened to Ian Anderson? That's from Harlem PS Gamer. From what I know, Ian Anderson is basically, I think he's hurt. I think that's what it is. I'll look it up in just a second. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But yeah, Nicholas is going to back me up there. I think he's hurt. But to be honest with you, I don't know what's going on with Ian Anderson. I thought we'd see him at least get another shot by now. I want to say he was out for the year with something. I can't remember what it was, to be honest with you. I wish I had a better answer for you. Let me see if I can find it. While I'm doing that, let me see if I can answer another question. So he was on the 60-day IL, so I suppose he's not healthy. Brian Perez, Phillies playing with house money, this Braves team without. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I think that the Phillies have a habit, and I've said this before. A few years ago, I called it stupid money, and I stand by that. I still think they spend stupid money. Now, that's not to say that Trey Turner or Bryce Harper don't earn their money. I certainly don't think that. But I just think when you look at what the Braves have done versus what teams like the Phillies have done versus what teams, like the Mets have done, where they go spend money and get players. Now, granted, there's some teams that spend money better, and the Mets are certainly not that. But the Phillies are. The Phillies have gotten guys that are, built for, success. I mean, Bryce Harper was a great pickup, no doubt about it. I think they paid way too much for him, but I think $300 million for just about any player is way too much for anybody, to be honest with you. But I mean, the Phillies are still a great team. I think they have more questions than the Braves do across their roster. I mean, you look at what they have. You look at, you look at what they have. And my question is, like, their defense in the outfield. They have, like, very little. I mean, they have good hitters. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They got guys that can mash. But, guys like Kyle Schwarber, and I like Kyle Schwarber. I think Kyle Schwarber is good for baseball. The fact that he comes up and just hits bombs is really exciting, and it's a good thing for baseball. However, I have questions more so along the lines of what happens in a postseason when your average isn't his average like right around 200, maybe even below. And it's not a disrespect to him. I just don't know how that's going to, how are you going to succeed that way? I mean, that's just my take on it. But we'll see how it goes. I just have that question. Their offense has been good. And look, like Leo Mazzoni said yesterday, no team makes it to the postseason if they're not a good team, right? I mean, everybody that makes it into the postseason is a good team. However, there are already some teams that have proven that they don't necessarily belong, as he said, and that, remains the case to me. I think as we go on, we're going to realize just how good the Braves are because their depth is that solid, and hopefully that'll be the case. I certainly think it will be, and we'll hopefully come in here next time and be able to say, yep, we were right. The Braves absolutely took it to the Phillies. So hopefully that'll be the case. And, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a very, very exciting series. If you're just tuning in, I'm actually going to redo this. We're going to go through the NLDS here because I got some new viewers, and frankly, I fixed my graphics. So we're gonna redo it so I can edit this quickly. Thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, the NLDS does start today. Spencer Strider will be taking them out tonight for Atlanta, followed by Max Fried in Game 2, and what I would think would be Bryce Elder in Game 3. Though that hasn't been announced, there's really no other option looking at the roster other than maybe A.J. Smith-Shawver. So let's go ahead and take a look at the roster if we can. Let's go ahead and take a look at the roster. Here we go. NLDS pitching. Of course, Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Bryce Elder, Brad Hand, Daysbel Hernandez, who was a bit of a surprise, but hey, he had really good postseason workouts, so I think they saw something in him, and maybe he can have a postseason moment and contribute to the team. Of course, Raisel Iglesias, no surprise there. Pierce Johnson, trade deadline acquisition, no surprise there. A.J. Smith-Shawver earned his spot. He had a really good postseason workout. The first day of postseason workouts, he looked really good. He kept the Braves offense at bay, and that says something. Michael Tonkin is on here. I think he'll be out of the pen for length. Kirby Yates, Joe Jimenez, A.J. Minter, no surprises there. I think all those guys belong. And, I think that ultimately this is a very good roster to have for your pitching. I mean, you got your starters settled. I think they're right there on the left, Spencer Strider, Max Fried, and Bryce Elder. Let's say potentially one of these guys, not going to name anybody, but Bryce Elder, let's say he doesn't go, 6 innings or more. I think you turn to A.J. Smith-Shawver possibly to give you a little bit of length. I would have originally said Kyle Wright there, but Kyle Wright, as of today, is on the 60-day injured list, so he will not make an appearance in the NLDS. He will not make an appearance in the NLCS or the World Series. So that is a little disappointed there. You hate to see that. You hate to see a guy who tried to come back all year, finally could, and then, at the tail end of the season, he just wasn't there. So a little bit concerning. You hate to see it, but, it is what it is. I still think the Braves have plenty, and if they make it through this series, of course, you get Charlie Morton back, and you go from there. But the real key here, to this team, I think the pitching's good, but the hitting is phenomenal. I mean, you look at this lineup, you look at the guys you have coming off the bench in total. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, these guys are the key to success to me this year with this team. They have been the reason this team won over 100 games. Ozzie Albies, Orlando Arcia, Vaughn Grissom. A little surprised to see Grissom. I don't mind it. I'm glad to see it because he's been by far the best hitter in AAA this year. So if they call him off the bench to hit, I don't have a problem with it. I don't want to see him on defense pretty much at all, but I don't necessarily mind it. And I don't think you'll see him on defense because you got Nicky Lopez, Matt Olson, Austin Riley. No surprises there. Those are your infielders. Your outfielders, led by MVP Ronald Acuna Jr. and former Rookie of the Year Michael Harris II. Marcell Ozuna's labeled an outfielder on the roster, but I think we all know he's truly a DH or possibly a first baseman. He's been playing first base at the postseason workout, so that'll be an interesting thing to see if they have to take out Olson late in the game for a pinch runner. That could be the guy that comes out there and plays first. If you're wondering who the pinch runner would be, it's going to be down there, Forrest Wall. I've been telling you really ahead of the postseason, I expect this guy to make a roster. He is your Terrence Gore of this series. I mean, he's got a better bat than Terrence Gore, but he's a guy that can steal bases, and I think he's going to be pulled in and used as that skill set. Kevin Pillar, Eddie Rosario, again, no surprises there. I thought Pillar would be off the bench the whole time. They're going to platoon there, Eddie Rosario and Pillar. That'll be interesting to watch. If Eddie Rosario can clutch up like he did in 2021, it's going to get very, very exciting. Catchers, no surprises, Sean Murphy and Travis d'Arnaud. I didn't think they would carry an extra catcher because they don't need to. They have two all-star caliber catchers there, so no reason to carry an extra. And that gives you the ability to pick up a Vaughn Grissom or a Forrest Wall. So plenty of guys, on there that, very well could have a postseason moment. I look forward to watching it. And of course, we're going to tune in tonight. It's right at 6 o'clock, and I can't wait to see where the Braves go and how they do coming up tonight against the Phillies. Let me know how you guys think they're going to do down in the comments below, and really do appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, so let's go ahead and continue with the comment section. Again, really do appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it's early. I know college football's on. Hey, but postseason baseball is on as well tonight, and we had to talk about it prior to the game tonight. Let's go ahead and see. Jeffrey said, I would love a clean sweep of the Phillies, but that's asking for too much. It is asking for a little much. I kind of agree with you in the sense of, hey, if they don't do it, I'm going to be disappointed. However, I still think it's possible, right? I didn't, at some point or another in the season, I didn't think Olson would break the home run record, right? Early on in the year, you don't think that way. Like, oh yeah, Olsen could definitely break the home run record that stood for over 10 years, right? You don't think that way. But then, about midway through the season, it's like, he can break that record. And then you're kind of like, it's possible. It's in the air, right? You don't expect it, but it's possible. We'll see how the series go. If they win 2, I think at that point you kind of expect a sweep. You kind of hope for the sweep, but we'll see what happens. I hope, like Nicholas says, we pummel them. That's what I hope for. Easy Tiger says, I can respect Schwarber, I guess, and I only respect Harper because he stood up to the press about how the umpires stink. Well, I'll give you another reason to respect Bryce Harper. I don't hate Bryce Harper. Back in 2020, they interviewed Harper during a game on the field, and he spoke very highly about Freddie Freeman. And I know we all have our opinions on Freddie Freeman. I get it. But he spoke very highly of Freddie Freeman, and I personally think that led to a lot of voters giving more attention to Freddie, and a big reason why he won the MVP. So that's just one reason I think you have to. I also think he's gotten much more humble over the years. I don't think he's quite as, the villain as he was with the Nationals these days, which is nice. I mean, I don't think Bryce Harper's a bad guy. I think he's, there's guys that root for the Phillies that hate Ronald Acuna Jr., right? I don't think you can do that. I mean, they're just players. They're just people. But, I get it. We're an Atlanta fan. I mean, I get it. You don't like Bryce Harper. But what you can't say is when he's at the plate and you're flipping channels and he's at the plate, you're not flipping the channel back. You're going to watch the at-bat. So he's an exciting player. He's a great player. I think he's on a path to the Hall of Fame. But that doesn't matter right now. That doesn't matter. We want to beat him, right? Let's go ahead and see. Corey Carter. How many people knew we had a lefty from Oakland named Adam Korolek? I was hoping he could make a late run and sneak onto the roster and be that third lefty on the postseason roster. I did not know that. I don't even know his stats, so you're telling me something I definitely don't know, but I'm interested. Maybe we have him in the future. He could still make the NLCS roster, but I don't think he's on the 40-man. If he's on the 40-man, he could still make the NLCS roster or the World Series roster, but I don't think he is. Let's see. Nicholas says, little disappointed with no Vines. I can understand that, especially with Kyle Wright not being here. I can definitely get that. I thought Darius Vines would kind of be a shoo-in for a long relief guy. But out of the pen, I don't know if you want a guy who throws mid-90s and below. I don't know if you want that. And I don't know if the Braves want that necessarily. Now, in the future, maybe when he gets a little bit more comfortable on a big league mound, possibly. But you'd be asking a lot of a guy to come up and, just all of a sudden be able to pitch in the postseason. However, A.J. Smith-Shawver got that chance. And I think he got that chance really because of what he did at the postseason workouts. He really showed out there. I don't even know if Darius Vines pitched in the postseason workouts, but they see something in A.J. Smith-Shawver. I don't know what that something is other than success. I mean, I think he has a bright future ahead of him as a starter, and I think that this is going to double his couple of things. I think, number one, it's going to be a chance for him to show what he has. It's going to be a chance for him to maybe make a pitch to be in the starting rotation next year. It's a chance for him to compete for that in a way. But it's also a chance for him to really, come in and make an impact on this team. I mean, if he comes in and throws, 4 innings out of the pen in a game, I mean, that's a great moment for him. A.J. Smith-Shawver, is getting an opportunity that a lot of guys his age don't get. And it says a lot about him. And, Darius Vines is a great pitcher. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. But at some point, you got to make the cutoff, and they made the cutoff at A.J. Smith-Shawver. So hopefully A.J. Smith-Shawver, does something with it. Hopefully he does something with the opportunity. Vision says, hey, Braves country, late tuning in, leaving for Truist in a few hours. So excited, but I really thought Darius would make the roster. Well, Vision, once again, I'm going to miss you at the ballpark. I'll be in Athens tonight. But if you're there tomorrow night, I will be there. I need to meet Vision. She's been subscribed for forever, it feels like. And she's always a supporter. So, Vision, if you're there tomorrow night and you see me, come say hello. Let's see. Jeffrey says this game should be good. I think it'll be great. I think it'll be better than good. Hopefully that'll be the case. Let's see. Hato Mato, rather us just win the series. to move on and get our revenge. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I hope for. You never hope to see, them come in and lose. I hope that, it's over in 3 games and we can advance and our pitching is set and everything's good to go. That's what you hope for. The other thing I'm going to throw your way, and I don't know this for sure, but it's just me kind of thinking out loud, and I've been thinking about it for really since we learned of Charlie Morton's injury, but I think it's possible that if Morton's ready to go, he pitches game 1 of the NLCS. Now that's thinking ahead. That's thinking very, very far ahead. But think about it. If you have to go 5 games and you pitch Strider and Fried in 4 and 5, and then you have to immediately pitch, in the NLCS, you could very well pitch Morton game 1, and then I don't know if that means Elder would pitch game 2, and then you go back to Fried Strider. You want to try your best to get Strider and Fried to pitch twice in the NLCS if you can. But given that you have Morton, I think that would help the situation if need be. So just think about that as well. What you really hope for is that you go 3 games, you pitch Morton in game 1 anyway, and then you can go Strider and Fried in game 2 and 3. And maybe even on the back end if you go to a 7. But it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a very good series between the Braves and the Phillies. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be great television. And if you're at the ballpark, even better. No, Daniel, thank you. Really do appreciate that. Corey Carter, next year I wouldn't mind seeing Ozuna in the 2-hole getting fastballs behind Acuna's against lefties. I wouldn't mind that either. I don't know if they would do it necessarily, but I necessarily wouldn't mind it. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Corey Carter, the surprise for me is no Wright, no Chavez, and late additions of Grissom and Hernandez. The latter got little to no big league time, and now they could be in, clutch situations. Yeah, I get it. Grissom, I told you a couple weeks ago I didn't think he'd make the roster just because we haven't seen him in the big leagues much. And that doesn't always mean anything. But usually with our the way the Braves operate, typically it seems like the guys that have been going all year long are the guys that are going to make the roster. Maybe they're trying something new. I mean, Grissom's hit very well this year in AAA. I didn't see it coming. I don't think some folks saw it coming, but I think a lot of folks saw it coming because they just wanted Grissom to make the roster out of being a fan of Grissom. Nothing wrong with that. You got your wish. I didn't see it coming because I didn't think the Braves would do it. I'm not disappointed that they did it. I'm happy that he made it in a way. Daysbel Hernandez, I think, is the real surprise. I don't know if he got added because Kyle Wright got hurt. I don't know what that is. But we'll see how they do. I hope for the best, and I hope Daysbel Hernandez can give us like a really good 6th inning or something. Just 1, 2, 3, it's over. That's what I hope for. But we'll see. Let's see. Hato Mato, I have always liked A.J. Smith-Shawver. He will do well. I think so, too. I think he's a guy that, very similar to Fried and Soroka, who doesn't let the moment get too big for him. I expect good things out of him. If not in this series, then, in future, times to come. Corey Carter, A.J. Smith-Shawver, looks like a guy who will be at his best when the lights are the brightest. And that's kind of what I was getting at. He doesn't let the moment get too big for him. And hopefully that'll be the case. That's what you hope for. On the go with CeeLo. So sick of all the Phillies focusing how they came and beat us at Truist, but won't talk about how we beat them 3 out of 4 at Citizens Bank. Here's the deal. I don't talk to Phillies people during this time of the year. I know them. I just don't really speak to them. I kind of let that ride, I think that all the talking doesn't matter. I think that once the series is over, all the talking will be over. Let's put it that way. Let's see. Corey Carter, I think Nicky Lopez has earned some postseason at-bats. Wouldn't be mad if he got some starts. Arcia has been slumping. I don't hate that, but I also think, Arcia's kind of been the guy that, he's a guy that, can come up and give you a hit every night, when he's hot. We'll see. As Hato Mato said, don't forget to like the video so I can trend. Yeah, so I can trend. I'm trying to trend, guys. I'm just kidding. But thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to be on here for about another 20 minutes or so, and then I'm going to try to get out of here and get to Athens as quickly as I can. But really do appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. If you're a Georgia Bulldogs fan, I will be there tonight. So it should be a pretty good game against Georgia and Kentucky. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good SEC matchup, and after last week in Auburn, it might be closer than what we thought, it would be originally. So we'll see. Jeffrey Reimer, Tyler, what's your favorite Braves jersey if you can choose? I had one custom made. I don't know if this is my favorite, but I had one custom made because you can't find it anywhere. I think the Braves should sell this jersey. Why they don't, I will never understand. The baby blue, 1980s, baby blue. Mine is a Necro for obvious reasons. If you don't know, I interviewed Necro really early on in my career, I guess, and he was really good to me. There's a letter from him up on the wall. Phil Necro was great to me, and you could get a custom Necro made at the at Truist, the white jersey, but I wanted one that he actually wore for the majority of his career, and one of those was the baby blue. And if you know what the baby blue is, it's very nostalgic in a way. I got a lot of compliments on it last time I was on here because I was wearing the jersey at a game, and that's the thing, right? Like I try to find jerseys that aren't common. I have an Eddie Rosario red one. I have a Soler one. My favorite color jersey that they wear right now, I like the red. I really like the dark blue. The white is okay. It's kind of, the standard. But, I personally, the one that they wear right now, the City Connects are great, but they're so much like the Hank Aaron ones, they might as well be the Hank Aaron ones. That, to me, is really the best jersey by design. My favorite one, personally, is the baby blue. That would be mine. Thank you for the question. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Daniel Fowler, if Ozuna has another good year, do the Braves try to sign him again? I'm torn because off-field and first half of the contract was not exactly good. I don't know, to be honest with you. That is a decision for Alex Anthopoulos. To give credit to Alex Anthopoulos, they stuck with him throughout all of that. They very easily could have said, nope, we're done with it. We're not gonna mess with this anymore. You've done this, you haven't done this, you haven't done this. They very well could have called him out for just about anything. But credit to Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves front office because they saw something in him that no one else saw, right? They saw something in him that no one could have expected. And what a year he's had in response. He had a chip on his shoulder. He started the year slow. He was trying his best. You always heard like he works hard. He's a good teammate. You always heard it, but I think this year we really saw the fruits of that. We saw what they were talking about. And I'm glad we did because Marcell Ozuna, look, everybody goes through stuff in their life. I'm not here to criticize anybody or anything like that. Marcell Ozuna had a rough couple of years, no doubt about it. But 40 homers, I think a 280 batting average, that's pretty darn good, And remember back in 2020, he almost got the Triple Crown that year. He was in competition with Freddie for the MVP. So you always knew the potential was there. I'm just glad we finally saw it. And, I'm more than pleased with what we got out of Ozuna. If they re-signed him, I would understand. If they didn't re-sign him, I would also understand. I don't think it would be because of any of the issues. I think it would be possibly due to his age. Maybe he can get more money elsewhere, whatever the case may be. There's multiple ways that can go. I think that he could very well get re-signed. I think he could very well go somewhere else and play for them as well. So it's a long ways away. We have a whole nother season. I'm more worried, to be honest with you. I'm more worried about Max Fried next year than anybody else. That's the guy that I feel like they got to lock down. They got to get him. Corey Carter, so crazy that we are now open to re-signing Ozuna. Man, baseball is crazy. Who knows what his bat looks like in 2 years, though? I would probably be okay with letting him walk. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I wouldn't be overly, disappointed if they let him walk, but I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be overjoyed either. It's tough to say. Yes, great, we got him for another couple of years, but I don't want to see him sign him to a 10-year deal or anything like. Obviously, we'll see. Um, let's see. Corey Carter says it's a night game in the SEC. That environment's going to be crazy. Every college football game environment is crazy. But no, tonight I know it's going to be nuts. I'm ready for it. This is my first game this year. I haven't been to one, so I'm really excited for it. I think I'll be in Alabama next week. I'm pretty sure. So we'll see how that goes too. I'll let you know which one's better. Let's see. On the go with CeeLo. Tyler, hopefully you can pop into the stream tonight if you can. I know you'll be working. Can't make any promises. It would be great, but I can't make it. I would love to, but I cannot make any promises. We will see. Just text me. I don't know what kind of service I'll have, but if I can do it, I'll be glad to. Maybe during halftime I can do it, but I also have to send stuff back during halftime, so it might be kind of tough. We'll see. Let's see. Let's see. Corey Carter says Ozuna earned those boos. He sure did. I'll give you that. Those boos could have been a wake-up call. I don't think it was. I don't know what was the wake-up call because, look, I was there the first game after, one of those incidents. I'm not going to get into which one. But I was there and the boos were loud. We didn't see him flip it into gear after that. I think it just was a slump, and you combine that with problems off the field. He seems to have straightened those out. Maybe he's just in a better mindset and he can focus. I mean, Chipper Jones wrote in his book about, his personal struggles, and I'm not going to get into that, but I wanted to quote Bobby Cox from that book because Bobby Cox basically said, if you don't got your stuff right at home, you're not going to be worth having here. And there's some truth to that. I mean, that goes for any job. If you got personal things going on, you're not going to be able to focus on, filling out paperwork or whatever the case. Certainly not going to be able to focus on a ball that's moving 102 miles an hour, at your face. It's just, I think that he's gotten his stuff figured out. And, I'm not going to speak to the personal side. I don't know Ozuna that well, if at all. But I would tell you that I think that the fact that he seems to have fixed both, and that's really what you want to see. And I think that's great. Let's see. Corey Carter says, I suspect we trade Fried rather than let him walk like we did Dansby and Freddie. I don't think so. The reason we didn't trade Freddie and Dansby, I thought Dansby would be back, but I also wasn't overly surprised when he walked. I really was surprised when Freddie walked. Or we went and got Olsen, however way you want to look at that. The thing is, the reason we didn't trade them is because we're competing, right? You don't trade away Fried when you're going to make a run in the postseason because let's say you trade, look at the Brewers, right? And I'm not criticizing the Brewers. They're doing it for a completely different reason. They're doing it for payroll purposes. They traded Hader away, and they're still a postseason team. Not to say that it would have made a difference this year, but he's still a weapon they could have used. They did it for payroll. You don't want to do that with Fried because let's say we get to the postseason next year. Keep in mind, we could potentially be losing Morton after this year if he wants to hang it up and retire. So you could be losing him. Not to say that's going to happen, but potentially. So you'd have Strider, Elder, A.J. Smith-Shawver, Kyle Wright maybe, Michael Soroka. I mean, you got guys, but you don't have the guy other than Strider. You don't have a good 1-2 punch. And that is why I think we keep him. And especially in the postseason, you want that guy, and if you can lock him up, even better. I think he completes his contract at least in Atlanta. Joseph Olson, Braves have a 2025 team option with Ozuna. If he plays well in 2024, they can pick up that beyond, or they can, like they are with Charlie. Yeah, they could very well pick up the option. I think if in that scenario, which I'm not sitting here looking at his contract, I didn't know that. But in that scenario, I think they probably roll it over. I don't see why they wouldn't. But they have every reason. They have every, not reason, but they have every right to not do it as well. All right, let's see. Hatomato. The wake-up call was what he wanted to give up, and Snit said no. I can agree with that. I think Snit is a big part of his turnaround. He basically said so. Okay, this is a different question. I wasn't expecting it. Daniel Fowler, forgive me if this is intrusive, but I know you're a Christian, and I'm curious what your favorite Bible verse is. If you'd rather not answer, as this is a Braves channel, I get it. No, I'll answer. I mean, it's a pretty common one. It's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I wish it was a little bit more, uncommon, just to, but no, that's my favorite one. I mean, it's on all the T-shirts and everything. I mean, that's when I kind of try to live my life by. But no, I don't mind that question. I mean, I am a Christian. I'm strong in my faith. I don't mind being asked those questions. I don't necessarily want them all the time, but I'll gladly answer stuff like that. Corey Carter, total side note, but did y'all know Dion and Shearholtz had heat? I did know that because I watched the Dion 30 for 30. Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting. Shearholtz wouldn't comment. That's what I do remember. I've met John Shearholtz. I haven't met Dion. I'd love to. I doubt that heat remains. I mean, I don't think, I mean, they're both 20, 30 years older. I think if they saw each other, it'd be, handshaking, side hug. I think it would be fine. I don't think it would be super, contentious by any means. How's Sydney doing? I appreciate the connection. Still to get those sick autographs. Yeah, if you ever want more, you know who to call. Call Sydney. He asked me about you not too long ago. He said he had some stuff, so you might want to give him a call, Daniel. You might want to give him a call. I think that's going to wrap us up, which is right on time. I got to wrap up here and go to Athens. I'm going to try to get this edited and put on the channel for those that didn't get to tune in. Really do appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, of course. Make sure you watch the game tonight. I'll be watching alongside with you while I'm in Athens. And of course, also, do subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications, share the video, tell your friends about us, all that good stuff. We do this. We're going to continue doing this through the postseason. We really do appreciate you tuning in, all that. And again, thank you guys. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in so early during college football. I know it's on during all, I thank you for tuning in. Really didn't expect much of an audience. We got much more than I did expect. Going to answer a couple more questions on the way out. Chris Daughtery, have you ever heard any rumors that Rome is going to stop being a Braves affiliate in a few years and the Mississippi Braves are moving to Chattanooga? I've heard they're moving to Columbus, so I've heard all kinds of rumors. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll say that. Thank you, Daniel. Jeffrey says Braves need to take game 1. I think they will. Vision says go Dogs. I'll give you a courtesy on that one. Go Dogs. Corey Carter, would you trade Wright and Fried for Bobby Miller next year? No, I would not. Have a good one, Hato Mato. Derek Smith, as awesome as always. Tyler, thank you. Thank you, Jake Hobby. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Vision. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, all you guys. Daniel, Hato Mato for tuning in today. Really do appreciate it. That's going to wrap us up here at On Deck. And again, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck. And hey, as always, go Braves!
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.